Good evening, it's your girl, Miss Ann Little Cole. I'm coming to you straight out of NYC on this quiet Wednesday evening. This is a somber story that I'm about to read to you. This one is just heart-wrenching, and it's sad because this is what I would call preventable. What happened to Peter Spencer is a crime. But what happens when a person goes on a trip with people that they think are their friends and they don't come back home to their families? Instead, they come back home in a body bag. They have good intentions. They think that it's going to be a fun day, but they don't know it's going to be their last day. See, they didn't get killed because they were in a gang. They were involved in criminal activity. They were a bully. They were abusive. They held people hostage. No, they just went out with their friends camping. And instead of basically, hunting for game, they got hunted. And that's the story of Peter Spencer. So I'm going to read to you an article from The Sun that talks about who he was and how he died. There's still a lot going on with that situation, but this is the best that we know. And I'm going to read it. It reads, in cold blood, who was Peter Spencer and how did he die? Jamaican immigrant Peter Spencer was fatally shot in mid-December in what his sister is calling a modern-day lynching. Spencer was 29 years old when he was killed and leaves behind his fiancée and their unborn child. Who was Peter Spencer? Peter Spencer was a 29-year-old black man who immigrated to the U.S. from Jamaica with his family. His sister, Tahila Spencer, said on the GoFundMe page she set up that her brother had hoped to help their mother open up a restaurant. She said the decision stemmed from their family tradition in Jamaica when their mother cooked and sold fish and soup every Friday. How old was Peter Spencer when he died? Peter Spencer was found dead on December the 12th after police were called to the cabin where he was staying in Venango County, Pennsylvania. Spencer's fiancée, Camilla King, says Spencer was invited to a weekend of hunting by a white male coworker. King did not respond to the Sun's request for comment in time for the article. The coworker, whose name has not been released, invited 3 friends to join them, including 2 men and 1 woman. Sorry about that, according to his sister's GoFundMe page. Spencer was the only black person in the group, and he was killed in what his sister is calling a hate crime. He was found at approximately 2:30 a.m. with 9 gunshot wounds. The Black Political Empowerment Project says they want answers to what happened to Spencer and why no charges have been filed. The CEO of BPEP, Tim Stevens, told Pittsburgh's Action News 4, "We are talking 6 bullets into the chest, 2 into the buttocks, and 1 we have a different opinion, either through the mouth or from the neck out of the mouth." In a letter written to U.S. Attorney General Merrick Garland, Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf, the Venango County DA's office, and others, Stevens demanded an immediate investigation to Spencer's murder. He also demanded that this murder be considered as a hate crime and an act of domestic terrorism. One 25-year-old male is currently in custody and has claimed the shots were fired in self-defense. Stevens said he did not think the man's claims were an unexplainable defense, adding, "We can't help but wonder if there was some racial animosity and if this possibly could have been a hate crime." Police did not provide further information when contacted by The Sun. Peter Spencer's sister and fiance have set up separate GoFundMe pages to help with the investigation. The pages have collectively earned nearly $13,000 since December the 14th. Spencer's fiancée, Camilla King, says she has hired a criminal attorney to investigate the case after she and his family were turned away when asking police for further information. Peter Spencer was the only black individual at the campsite and is being portrayed as the aggressor, King said. The Franklin State Trooper's office will not give Peter's family nor myself any information regarding this incident. Tahila Spencer said her brother was murdered in cold blood, adding this is a hate crime and an act of modern-day lynching. And I couldn't agree more with his sister. And this is why my favorite movie is Get Out. That movie educated me on how to survive when I'm around white supremacists. That movie put me on so much game. And it really saved my life a couple of years ago. It saved my life. You have to be spot on. And you have to know your enemies. I believe Peter Spencer was a good person. He was trusting. That's why they were able to do what they did to him. But Peter didn't see the signs. See, the one thing about white supremacists is that there's clues that they give indicating who they really are and how they really feel about you. I'm sure they may have said one or two things. They may have said it in quote unquote jest. They may have, hit him and it said that they were playing. They probably, wrote little sneaky messages down, either in text or through social media. But he probably didn't understand it. Probably thought they were playing. But see, another thing about Peter Spencer is that Peter Spencer was not American. He was from another country. And a lot of times, black people that come here from other places, they don't really believe that they will be treated like black Americans, particularly ADOS and FBAs, because they are not descendants of American slavery. So they feel that they will be treated differently because they're immigrants. Just like white people immigrated here, they feel as though that they are more in line with them. And these are the black immigrants that have come here post 1965. Not all, but a lot. When I read this, I thought of Botham Jean. Botham Jean had just about all white friends. He thought that he was accepted by them. He didn't think that there would be any issues. But who killed him? A white woman, Amber Geiger, who's now doing 10 years in prison. He could have got more justice if it wasn't for his brother and his father hugging her. Because word occurred with that situation is that people say that they knew each other very well and that they were actually dating at one time. And it's alleged that he decided to break it off and she couldn't take no for an answer. That's word occurred. And that's from a source that basically contacted Lovely T and showed her the photo where they was booed up and surrounded by other people. You could check that out on her channel, but she couldn't show it because her channel could have gotten taken down. That's how much they were trying to cover up the story. But getting back to Peter Spencer, how many black friends did he have? Western Pennsylvania is predominantly black American and white. I know that because I have family that are born and raised out there. And my family visited Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania 3 times in their life. And they loved it. Shout out to the Hill District, okay? That's how much I know about Pittsburgh. I know about the Hill District. You know, it produced one of the greatest playwrights, August Wilson. Did he ever befriend black people? We don't know. But he should not have gone camping with all those white people. I'm not blaming his death on him. But 9 times out of 10, we could tell you that definitely wouldn't have happened if he would have been around people that looked like him. Now, I'm not saying that about white people in general. I want to make that clear. But a lot of times, especially when you're a black person who's a man, I've seen the scenario play out. And that scenario plays out is when you're the only one in the room, not all, but a lot will try to basically harm you and get away with it. Look how they caping. Look how they capping. Oh, I did it in self-defense. 9 bullets, 6 to the chest, 1 to the mouth. They don't know if it's directly to the mouth or from the neck out to the mouth. Also, two in the head. You gotta be playing with me. Oh no, 2 in the buttocks. Why would you shoot him in the buttocks? He was the prey. And I believe that they did this because they wanted his organs. And the sister Tahila, she gotta do the autopsy. She gotta make sure all his organs are in check. Because if his organs aren't in check, then they got him. They use him for organ harvesting. Another thing too, I find strange. Why did they not figure out where he was or find the body until the wee hours in the morning? That's something that's basically kind of bothering me. They found him at 2:30 a.m. You know, when you rent a cabin, a lot of people don't know this, but when you rent a cabins, they have actual facilitators and they check on you. This family needs to contact them. They have people there making sure everything's okay. Making sure that, particularly at nighttime, that everybody you know is good. So that if anything happens, they are protected and they're not liable. This whole thing screams to me lynching. And I will say this family deserves justice. But I will also say, once again, how many times are we going to have to learn a lesson? How long is it going to take us to realize that the story of Get Out was not just a movie? You know? So with that being said, it's your girl, Miss Anna Loco. I'm signing off. Yes, I dragged it because this story bothered me. It took me a whole day to talk about this. Stay tuned, and I'll be back with another one. Later.